Just like that, LT,
Just like that.
we back again.
Hey.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is,
Who's fighting?
man, it's been a busy, eventful past week.
Yeah, it has.
But before we start, we have to, because we come from the hip hop culture, right?
That's right.
That is our base. I mean, LT has great pedigree. I mean, he can share it with you if he wants to, but
Deep roots.
yeah,
Son of a legend. Legendary Fresh Kid Ice. That's my old man from the original Nasty Boys of hip hop.
the world famous.
Founding member of the Two Lock Crew.
Absolutely. Just going over what the events that have been happening, and events meaning like, you know, I don't want to talk about like, I mean, I don't know how to bring this in, segue this, but let me put it out there, man. R.I.P. DMX and Black Road.
R.I.P. Two staples of our childhood. I know that for certain.
Yeah.
The
I mean, they put soundtracks to a lot of my growing up. You know, I grew up as a teen when they were popping. Just the soundtracks that they were soundtracks to my life, talking about I dare you to come against me, and you know, it would be so appropriate for a show like this to like Black Road because of the hype. DMX, how many Tyson walking to DMX's songs, pre-fight. Man,
both
R.I.P. to the
represent
legends.
that. Both represent that East Coast style.
East Coast, rough,
lyrics,
dirty.
You know, so
Yeah.
that's what I'm a big fan of that style. So
Yeah. Like we said, there was a lot of events this last week and weekend. I'll start off with introducing, because it's a combat sports show, and it could move from boxing to mixed martial arts. But let's start with boxing. Who fought this weekend?
Woo. All right, so we had a few things on the PBC card. We had Garrison versus Perella, which turned out to be a surprise fight.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, Harrison went in. Let's backtrack, because we know Harrison, he had 2 bouts with Charlo.
Yeah, he did.
So in the
One we had a debate on.
In the
Probably
first one, the first one was a real surprise. He came out victorious against Charlo, took the belt. In the rematch, I felt like he was winning in the rematch until Charlo stopped him.
Right.
So there was no third fight.
Yeah.
So, but this weekend, I want to say this may have been his first fight back since that stoppage.
Could be. I mean,
fact check.
Google is our best friend, but it looks like, yeah, you're absolutely right. He last fought December 21st, 2019.
So this was supposed to be his comeback fight against Perella. Now, fun fact about Perella, he was trained by none other than my favorite, Roy Jones Jr. was working the corner. And so, long story short, Perella got out fast and in the lead, like out the blocks like a track meet. And Harrison had a lot of work to do on the catch up. But I want to say around the 8th round or so was when he was really starting to come on strong toward those later ends in the quote unquote championship rounds.
Yeah.
And he made it closer because he was losing that fight.
Yeah.
But came on strong towards the end.
Seeing I missed that fight because there was so much. There was a circus going on this weekend.
Yeah.
But from I Sunday morning, which I was going to tell you, we need to start filming this show on a Sunday where we still have that energy from last. Yeah, because a few days after, my mind changes a lot because I go back and watch it, because it's different watching it live and then watching the highlights. You pick it apart too much. After, I want to give you that exact feel, the energy I felt watching it in real time. That's why we talked about this, by the way. Be on the lookout. We are going to start live watch-alongs, and we'll have to maneuver around, copyright and all that stuff. If the sound, all that stuff that.
I mean, at that point, we just record at midnight after the fight.
Yeah. Oh, mute it and just talk. We'll be the commentators and just talk about. Oh, so you guys could join along and join in with the festivities. But I was saying this weekend was so circus oriented that I missed that. I didn't watch that fight, but the reviews were like, oh.
When we played football and we did all the different drills for conditioning, and we had different stations, our coaches called it the county fair. And so this was kind of like the county fair where you had this booth, that booth, this booth, that booth. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Balancing it. I put out, by the way, you may see this on the post-production. I put up a video, I think, on Instagram, and I shared it with the Who's Fighting page where I'm on a laptop watching the Thriller fight and also watching UFC, just taking notes for you guys to sit down and watch this show right now. So, I mean, it's different. It's something new to me. Usually I enjoy my matches or, my fights with friends and just, alcohol, food. It's a little more, this is like a
drinks and conversation.
Yeah, it's a new space for me, man. Just having to be analytical in two different, where you have to, turn your head and pat it back and forth for different.
It's not new space to him. He just feels a little pressure because it's open to the public.
Absolutely. But yeah, I missed that fight. I wish I watched it. So there was another fight, Andrade versus Williams.
Now, that one was way earlier. It was like 2 p.m. in the afternoon or something like that. Mm-hmm. Crazy.
And that was WBO challenger.
Was it vacant middleweight?
See, that's where we have to do the facts check, so we can give you top-notch quality. So I think he lost his challenger card, I guess, and that's Brave Liam Williams.
Right, correct.
So I was told it was on DAZN. DAZN be having sneaky sleeper fights. Like, you catch it and like, oh, this fight is happening.
In the middle of the day.
Yeah. So Demetrius Andrade, am I saying it right?
WBO
middleweight
title. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Demetrius Andrade. He's one of those contenders.
Right.
I guess he has a belt now. In the middleweight class. And it can get confusing, man, because you got.
See, and that's the thing about boxing. There's so many so many bodies that everybody has a belt.
Right.
So keeping up, you forget that there's a champ somewhere in a sanction or like body that you don't even know about, or you don't follow that much because maybe that particular belt is not as popular, or they don't have the weight that can have that marketing money, like a Top Ranking and
so let's just
the ESPNs of this.
So world. Since we said that, let's put it out there. You got the WBC, the IBF, the WBO. There's a fourth one. Which one am I missing?
WBC, IBF, WBO.
WBA. Right. So those are the main four. And I want to say that the WBO was like the little brother, the last one to the party that everybody started respecting, because I think they were in like Europe or something. I could be wrong. Fact check me. Leave it in the comments. But anyway, let's get back to the subject. Middleweight division. Demetrius Andrade. He's a name that gets thrown around. We want to see him against, Caleb Plant but just going off of this, it was unanimous decision, but not very convincing. Or he didn't look like he put himself in that next tier. Yeah. In my personal opinion.
You know what? Some of these fights are like to lead you up to a bigger fight. So let's see. Maybe it was one of those that, unanimous decision. Some people in that room or that area, that space, felt like he did enough to convince everybody that, he had that. Let's go into the world of UFC.
Let's go.
Should we stick to boxing or should we keep that Let's talk.
Let's say that. Let's say that one.
Okay.
Keep going. Let's go to UFC.
Okay, let's go to UFC. So we had a big middleweight clash. We have Whittaker versus Grassland for the number one. Grassland is he's ranked like number 7, and then Robert Whittaker is like number 1 contender. But I mean, whoever watched it expected that. Grassland was Grassland. Kevin Grassland.
Jim Ross. It was a slobber knocker.
Right. Yeah. He pushed the needle. He pushed his point. He's the guy who he's gonna walk you down, get hit. I mean, he fought like he was supposed to fight, but I mean, he was convincing of a win. I'll skip over that. I mean, we expected that, really and truly. Let's go into the fight where LT was freaking right. Everybody that watched the last episode, I feel like I have egg on my face, and I have to give LT his flowers. He really stood his ground. I played back that episode, and I saw myself going in.
Yeah.
Going in. And I was like, famous quote, Jake Paul doesn't have Deontay Wilder power. Why do people think this? I'm laughing at myself. 1 round. But before even we get into that, did Thriller do a good job putting that together?
Well, I guess the bottom line is the dollar amount. You got Snoop Dogg announcing, which is entertaining.
You're smoking weed while announcing.
I'm saying entertaining. Who was performing? They had performances.
They had Doja Cat. They had
Doja Cat is my guilty pleasure.
Sweetie.
Doja Cat is my guilty pleasure. They had
Justin Bieber, I think, but like that ensemble, to me, it was weird watching a boxing mixed with performance in an empty room.
So
it was weird.
That is weird. But what it leads up to is this.
It's not empty room, it's a stadium. This was in Atlanta.
This kind of sports entertainment ambiance, right? Just like the Super Bowl, it's a spectacle around it. Right. You have the game, you have the off the field festivities. But I mean, was there like legitimate fights on the card too, though?
Yeah, I mean, I got in late because I was watching UFC, but I caught Frank Mir versus the dude from the army. Is this Steve Cunningham?
Yeah.
USSS from a cruiserweight. I don't know if it was a cruiserweight champ, but he was a contender. I mean, Frank Mir was a former wrestler. I mean, you could already tell what happened. Frank Mir was weighing. My producer was watching that with me. Frank Mir had like 10 pounds over him. I think Frank Mir walked in at 270. Yeah, 270. But you could fact check. People that watch that fight, I was not trying to watch Frank Mir box. I mean, he's a UFC guy or MMA guy. So.
And that was my point with Askren. It was that, okay, he's trained, but for one boxing match, when you get in the moment, you're going to revert back to your instincts.
Right.
And, I mean, I don't know if he got a punch off.
Before we talk about that fight pulled in 1.5 million. 1.5 million people watching. Is Jake Paul legit a boxing pool? 1.5 million. If we're talking about what's the biggest, we have Manny Pacquiao versus Mayweather. We have Mayweather versus McGregor. We have those pooled like 4 or 5 million. Yeah. This non-fighting, and I'm still, I was kind of mad. I was hot. I accept, yes, Jake Paul. I think he should stay with that. He should stay in that world of fighting UFC people that don't box. I mean, he does have people that watch it. None of the people that I know, including yourself, pay for that.
Nah, I'm not. I mean, listen, I respect the work that he puts in. I respect his level of seriousness. Personally, though, I wouldn't pay for that.
Yeah.
There's going to be something, maybe when I see him enhance his ability, because I respect it. Obviously, for my pick the last episode, where he gets to a point where, okay, now he can fight somebody that I'm interested.
What do you think about that count or whatever, the stoppage for TKO? He felt that he was like, you good to go? I'm good to go. He's like, nah.
So I was in the room and they were equating this to WWE, and I'm like, I tell you what, them punches land.
Yeah.
And so I watched it. To me, it looked like a flush shot on the temple.
Yeah. It was a quick jab.
To me, it looks like Asperger goes limp.
Yeah.
He may have hit his head on the canvas. Now.
But you see, in real boxing, they let you go out on your sword. A TKO is you getting multiple punches and somebody has to be like, bruh, you're not responding back. In an exhibition fight, maybe Askren was there for the, I don't know the politics of an exhibition. He went down one time, got back.
So what did they end up saying it was scheduled for? 8
rounds.
So yeah, I feel like 8 is safe.
So
but here's the deal.
I think they were saving Askren because he's a tough guy. He got up. He was like, "Yo, I'm ready."
That's also the reason that they should have let him fight longer.
Because they didn't do that to Nate Robinson when he got hit and he got up and they were like, "Are you good to go? Yeah, let's go again."
Right, they should have.
Well, yeah, no. Askren was like, "Yo, why you stopping it?" Because I don't know. For me, that's where I got confused. I don't know the rules.
Like,
I know I watch a lot of boxing. Though. Most boxers don't want that L on their record. So they go out like, yo, you got to take me out. You got Deontay Wilder me and, what's his name? Ajagba me. Like, you got to, like, really end it. And you have to end it for me to really go. I have to go down on my shield. Yeah, I got to go down.
It was definitely anticlimactic.
I said go down on my shield, but sword, I have to go down on.
No, I think that's the phrase. Go out on my shield. I think that's
or something. Yeah, something like that.
Definitely anticlimactic.
See, our producer's saying 5 minutes, like 2 minutes ago, but we're gonna push this a little longer than that. But
it was like a right cross.
It was a jab.
I'm saying
it was a jab, and you'll see people do this a lot. I have these conversations. It was a jab that he didn't move his head to. He's not moving his head. He's keeping his gloves like this. I don't know what fighting stance that was.
If you go back and watch Chris Bird, early 2000s, Chris Bird did that, but I mean,
yeah, he got caught with the jab. Like, it was just setting him up. Oh, you're not moving? Here's the cross.
And that's what I'm saying, man. Like, these people have different tendencies.
Yeah.
And he pressed forward.
I think Askren caught him with an overhand. Nobody even's talking about that. There was an overhand, and Jake did a good job adjusting a little bit. I was impressed with that, where he cut the overhand. If you go back, watch it, and maybe I'll play a replay here. He caught the overhand, and then he adjusted, and he was going to the body a lot in the beginning, kind of like setting him up, like, oh, you're not ready for the upward jab. Right. So he was getting him with the body. So he's a good boxer. I was like impressed with that. Like, he was setting him up.
Not me.
You're not surprised?
The overhand? You talk about
Askren caught him. Listen.
That's what I'm saying.
And Jake ate it.
But that's what I'm saying. When I go back to the old episode, I'm like, what's he gonna throw? Like a looping over. I'm not. That's an inefficient boxing punch. Like, where else does that work besides the UFC? It's about the equivalent.
Madonna.
That is the equivalent of a windmill, bruh.
Madonna.
Yeah, chopping wood, right?
Madonna. Who else? Marvelous Marvin. I mean, it's one of those anticipation punches. Like, oh, you're gonna drop your head. I anticipate you to, and then I'm gonna and it catches you. It's like they say, punches that knock you out of punches that you don't see.
Yeah.
So, like, that's one of those. And people that master that, Nate got caught with the overhand from Nate Robinson. We talking about got caught with the overhand from Jake. But let's move on from this.
Really?
Yeah, it did what he had to do.
Was he just that much taller than Nate? And he just kind of was coming down. It was just the angle.
Let's talk about what's coming. LG, who's fighting, man?
Who's fighting?
Who is fighting?
I need a refresh. Well, I don't need a refresh for the main card. Usman versus Masvidal.
Oh yeah.
Part 2.
Do we really count the first one? Because Masvidal took it on a 4-day or some crazy 4 week. I may be wrong, but he caught it. He was a fill-in, or he just
Right.
Do we count that as a Masvidal loss?
Personally, no, not time. No camp, not time for preparation. But also, Usman had to fight somebody he didn't prepare for as well.
That's true.
So, I mean, what was Masvidal's
shape.
turnaround?
He says he's always in fighting shape. That's Masvidal. He's like, I'm always ready to fight.
Shout out to Masvidal out of Miami.
Cubano.
Comes off of the was it whose tree did he come off of? Was it was it Kimba or Dada?
Dada, I think.
Off of Dada's tree, right?
Yep.
That's some dope stuff, right? That's a dope storyline right there in and of itself. Yeah. Came from the streets into the big leagues, right? So
yeah, I mean, it could have been Kimbo. You're probably right. Because I saw him on those old videos fighting with the buff bold dude back in the day. Yeah, so I mean, to me, I'll be honest with you. We have to talk results in this podcast. Usman is going to win that. It's going to be a boring fight. It's going to be subtract your superpower type of fight. Like, I'm going to take away your stand-up game.
Real tactical type.
And I'm going to apply, because Usman, he's a very interesting fighter. He's a wrestler with a decent stand-up fight. He was like a advanced Tyrone Woodley. So Woodley is primarily a wrestler, but Usman is a lot better than, he is shown to be a lot better than Woodley, and he's one of the, I think he's pushing that record. I think he's 13 under. He's one of the longest streak winning people, I guess. But looking at that, knowing how smart Usman is and how he adjusts, and he takes away what you're good at, and he makes you uncomfortable, and he's what's the word? I don't know the UFC word, but he presses a lot. He's in your face. He's a wrestler. Like wrestlers like zero space. Yes.
Yeah. And squeezes the air.
And that's what we know Masvidal doesn't do good with wrestlers. He likes to throw them things.
True enough. That's when the pedigree comes into effect.
Yeah, he likes to throw them things. But if Usman does open up, and Masvidal could end that.
Hey, it's all about the timing. We've seen that with Conor McGregor, right? It's not about, I got this much skill or whatever, but my timing is impeccable. So I catch you coming in, and I press the right button, and I got you. So
right, but, that's a good comparison when you say Conor. I would say Usman does apply a lot of Khabib ways, but he has more stand-up than Khabib. Khabib is more like ragdoll, slam you, just take all your energy out. You see people, Khabib fights losing the fight. Like, you can see in their face, this dude is taking me to the deep end. Like, you can see them like, dog, I'm waiting for this stuff to be done with, because Khabib is like grabbing on you, like slamming you, and
it's like
doing all weird stuff. He's just
drag you into the swamp.
He's like a big, I don't know, his style is weird, but it wins. He won't knock you out, but he's going to tire you, and he's going to mentally defeat you.
And that's what I see a lot of times in the UFC is the separation is that pedigree. When somebody has the better pedigree and a decent striking game to go along with it.
Yeah. So let's talk about the women who are fighting on the same card. We have Zhang Weili. How am I saying that? Wale?
If I had to guess, I would say Wale, but I don't know.
We call her Magnum. Let's call her Magnum. That's her fight alias. Fighting the thug.
You might be right.
Fighting the thug, Namajunas. If I'm saying that right too. Rose Namajunas, the thug. Rose is ferocious. She looks simple, chill, the buzz cut like the Amber Rose, but like she's an animal. So that's gonna be interesting. How about that for an oxymoron though?
Her given name is Rose and her nickname is Thug.
Thug.
Right? What are oxymorons? That's like jumbo shrimp, right?
Yeah. Or concrete.
The antithesis.
Yeah. And she's let's not sleep on Zhang. Zhang is very technical. I've seen her fight a couple of times. Zhang is from China. It's gonna be a great fight. Let's talk about the Bullet. Valentina Shevchenko. She's going to fight Jessica Andrade. That's going to be a great fight. We know who Shevchenko is. Master judo, karate, amazing kicks. She has if you want to have fun on YouTube, go watch her roundhouse or like kick knockouts. And she is something else. Jessica Andrade is the same, from Brazil. she's a pressure person. She slams. She's like 5'1", and she's just a pit bull. So that's gonna be a good fight.
And again, UFC doing what they do, delivering the matchups.
Yeah. So LT, do we have any boxing matches this week?
Okay. So we had a decent one, right? So we talked about middleweights earlier. We were going back to the middleweight division. I want to say his name is Marci Sulecki.
Marci Sulecki, yeah.
Versus
Jaime Munguia, okay. And that's going to be on the zone, right? I think it's going to be, I'm sure it's going to be on the zone. All these fights, that's why I say the zone is like a gem for like if you're bored. The zone has a live fight every weekend. And it's no promo for the zone unless you guys want to pay us and we'll put your logo here. But I know it's a the zone fight. It has to be the zone. But that's the only boxing fight we have this weekend.
Now, so he's another middleweight contender. Says he has been light middleweight champion. Mm-hmm. We're talking about Munguia. I found it interesting. His opponent, though, Sulecki, if I can pull him back up, he's got some notable names on there. Well, that he's been in there, he's been tested, but he's come up short in both those tests. So this is a good measuring stick for Jaime. So, but he took an L to Demetrius Andrade, unanimous decision. That was in 2019. And 2018, he took an L to Danny Jacobs. So those both went unanimous decisions. He wasn't knocked out.
Those are like reputable people to fight. They're fighting in El Paso, Texas.
So those are two.
The Don Haskins Center. So
those are his only two blemishes, 29 and 2. So it's a good measuring stick. A lot of people saying they want to see Jaime take a bigger step up, though.
Right.
So yeah, this is a step right here.
Yeah, and just like that, I think we just run through this weekend stuff. We'll stay giving you top quality stuff for you guys to sit down and watch. And just like that, we just had another episode of
Who's Fighting?